Hey there, I'm Meg, and in this video, I'm going to complete a website audit for a member of my Debug Your Business program. I'll tell you more about Debug Your Business and how to get your own website audit at the end of this video. Now, before we begin, I do send these website audits before I post them publicly to the owner of the website. So if you are looking at the website today, it may look a little different than it does in the video when I recorded it because the business owner may have changed a few things. Now, before we dive in, I want you to know that with any website audit, you have the right to accept or reject anything I'm about to say. This is from my perspective, but I don't know your business in and out like you do. So now that we have all that out of the way, let's dive in. This month's website audit is for Pat Lorino, the owner of North Country Spiritual Pathways and Wellness in Littleton, New Hampshire. Pat offers energy healing and intuitive guidance. And I will say before we dive into her website, I find this website incredibly well laid out, well organized. It's easy to navigate. Pat makes sure that her text is larger because she does have some older clients with vision impairment. So as we're going through this website audit, you'll find that I am getting very specific and detail oriented because Pat's website is already so fantastic. So now that we are on the home page, I'm just going to start with a general overview and I'm going to refer to my notes throughout. So what I would recommend Pat do, and again, she doesn't have to, but I would honestly recommend changing the brand colors. From what I know about Pat, I will say I've known Pat for at least 5 years now. What I know about her and her brand, the pink and the blue doesn't to me feel like her. It doesn't feel like her space. When you go into Pat's space, she has a lighter blue, but it's lighter than this. So she has those light blue accents in the space, but I feel more earth tones with Pat. So I would recommend not having this pink and blue. To me, it can also, when I see business owners go with a pink and blue like this, it makes me think of children, like girl or boy. So it makes me think that the branding's for a business that has to do with newborns, things like that. So I would just change the colors. I love how Pat has the covered bridge. It's representative. It represents the area that her business is located in, and the dragonfly has a lot of significance to Pat. So I wouldn't change any of this. I think the fonts are fine. I would just reconsider the colors. So as we are on the homepage, Pat's website is on Wix. So the way her website is laid out is she does have this blue background behind the text throughout all of her pages. I would either expand the full width, so that way the blue background is the full width of the website, or I would remove the blue background and change the text color to a gray and then change the buttons to blue, and you can have, or actually, no, I'd leave the buttons as pink and then maybe change this accent as blue, whatever you think is best. But I feel like having the website condensed like this, it makes things a little more cluttered because there's more text in a smaller amount of space. Whereas if you make the website full width, there's a bit more breathing room. It's easier for people to scan. It might come across as a little less overwhelming. I'd also recommend in the header either changing this to white so the logo blends in better, or adding a thicker white border around the logo because the logo, the text is right up against the edge. If you add a little bit of breathing room, I think it'll be easier on the eye. Also adding a little bit of space in between the navigation and the header as well as the main body content. You want to give the eye just space to roam, space to breathe. When everything is together, it can feel a little overwhelming. So like I said, because Pat's website is so fantastic, we're really getting into the details. But that's just general recommendations for the website as a whole. So in the navigation, the only thing I would recommend changing is classes and groups are listed in this order, but then there's groups and classes. So I would either switch these or switch these so that way it's all uniform and it matches. And we are going to, before we get into the homepage content, pop down into the footer. The footer is the same on every single page of your website, same as the header and the navigation. So what I would do is in this e-newsletter subscribe box, if possible, remove the last name field. I've been reading some articles lately that it's been proven people are more likely to sign up for your email newsletter if they don't have to enter their last name. It's not necessarily a privacy thing, it's just we're lazy and we don't want to type in all this information. So I think when you do that, it will shrink the height of this box, which I think would be aesthetically pleasing. I would also make this text larger. I would make it white so it pops against the footer more. And I would also add the Tannery Marketplace. So Pat's studio is located in a building known as the Tannery Marketplace. And I feel like the Tannery is well enough known in the area that calling out that you're in the Tannery Marketplace would add that additional wayfinding aspect. So it would help it would help make it easier for people to find you. So I would add the Tannery, make this bigger, and then scoot up your insurance information and make it left aligned. And then I'm just going to move myself over here. And then this is called the Sri Yantra. It's a sacred geometry symbol, so look it up. Pat, I would recommend that you scoot this in the middle. Again, it's aesthetics, but I think it would look nice. And then down here, this is important. In order for your website to legally comply with copyright information, you need to change this to 2018 through 2023 and then update that 2023 as the year changes every year. You need to have the date range of when your website was first created to now. And then I would change, instead of your name, your business name, and I think you can nix proudly created with Wix. Now we're going to dive into the individual page audits. We're still here on the homepage. I absolutely love how Pat has this friendly, welcoming image of herself. When you are a solopreneur, especially if you're a service provider, people are not only hiring you for what you do, but for who you are. So Pat instantly builds connection with her audience, A+. I also appreciate how Pat shares a little bit about herself and what she does, and then she makes it easy to navigate to the next pieces of her website. However, there is a lot of information here, so I would actually remove the disclaimer and the new client form downloads and keep those on other pages. I would also scoot the About button to the left align a little closer here. Down here, I think these two sections are absolutely fantastic. This identifies with her target audience. It helps people realize that, yeah, this is me. I need to see Pat. And the services provided also shows that Pat offers a variety of healing modalities, which is fantastic. So I would also tighten up the spacing between the buttons, make it more consistent, and also make sure the alignment is correct. And then I would change this text to white just so it pops out a little bit more. You may also be able to shorten the page a little bit. So we are going to head to the services page next. I'm gonna move myself. I appreciate all the information that Pat includes on this page, especially this little what can you expect during a session. There is a lot of text here, especially on this earthing therapy section. It goes way down. So what I would recommend doing is, instead of having the services listed side by side, I would make them full width and list them top to bottom. So as you list your services full width, you can add the photo that relates to that service in the same section. You may be able to wrap the text around it. So for example, this is the Himalayan salt detox therapy photo. You may be able to have the text appear to the right of it. And then as you shift this full width, you can shrink the length of this page. There's also a big gap here, so I would move this up to shrink the length of the page even more. I would also include a link to your disclaimer page on this page. Oh, and then before we move on, link this to the resources page as well. We're on the schedule an appointment page, and I appreciate how Pat calls out new client forms at the top here. What I would recommend doing, instead of having the PDF icon, you can make a button and link to the form. I think it would make it much easier for people to see and read, because the form names are so tiny here, and this is also extraneous information. It's also not on brand, so if you use a button, it would add that layer of cohesion. And then Pat uses Square Online Booking. I love Square Online Booking. This is coded in from Square. If possible, it depends on your website platform. I'm not sure if Wix will enable you to do this. If you can lengthen this. So if you can drag this box and make it taller, I think it would make it easier for people to scroll between. I also notice, especially when I'm on my mobile device, this box shrinks, so I have to scroll for a while in order to find the service that I'm looking for. And I would also link to the disclaimer page on here as well. You can create a button or a text link. We are on the rates and gift cards page. I love how this is laid out. I think it is super easy to scan. Just check the alignment on this, and then I think you can shrink some of the gaps on this page. I love how you link to schedule an appointment here. You can also embed the square scheduling box on this page as well if you want, and then I would also scoot gift cards up higher. We are going to move on to the groups page. The big thing I noticed here, and there's one other page that's like this, is the background is black and this text is not on brand. So your headers on other pages use this font, but for some reason it's not showing here. Also, I would change this to groups to the actual page name because you do have drumming circle listed here. I know this is your only group, but having groups helps people understand that, yes, I am on the groups page. Is also good for search engine optimization. When Google or any other search engine platform is scanning your website, when it sees a page, it wants to check to make sure that there's consistency. So you want to make sure that the page name is included in the URL. You also want to make sure it's included on the page itself in the content, particularly in the headers. So that's one more reason why you'd want to change this to groups. Next, on the classes page, I don't think you need for 2023. That's up to you. And then I would shift this section up a little bit so the first workshop is closer to the top of the page. And then I would change this to upcoming workshops TBA and maybe include that at the bottom, or you can include it here, but I think it would be interesting for people to see the topics that you're thinking of offering in the future. Upcoming workshops TBA, and then you include the topics like death and dying, and then anything else that you have. You can keep that at the top, but I would recommend putting it at the bottom because they're not set in stone yet, but these workshops are, so you really want people to focus on what you already have. I also like how Pat uses the flyer graphic that she created in Canva. This is a strategy if you want a website that is super low maintenance. All Pat does is she already creates the flyer to promote and print. So she adds it to her website, makes it super easy, and then she adds this buy now PayPal button, which is a super genius hack. If you are more into website design and if you want more benefits from search engine optimization, I would include the text instead of the flyer because Google cannot scan the text on the flyer because it's considered a graphic. But for the sake of Pat, I know she doesn't want a high maintenance website. This is totally fine, and it's a really genius shortcut that she found. Next, we are looking at the About page, which is the other page I found that for some reason doesn't follow the brand with the black background. I love this page. There's another wonderful picture of Pat here. I like how she shares her journey. On this page, I would also link to the testimonials page and the schedule an appointment page as well. You want to have as many links as possible throughout your website, except on the homepage. I know I mentioned earlier you don't want to have too many links, but basically you want to guide your website visitors through a journey. You want to make it super easy and super simple for them to take the next step. This is also called a call to action. So by including the schedule an appointment page link on your other pages, people are more likely to schedule an appointment. And like we mentioned on the services page, you can also embed the square scheduler box in other places as well, but you don't want to over clutter your pages. That's why I'd only recommend if you were to add the square schedule an appointment box to a page, it would just be the services page. But on this page, definitely include a button to get you there, and also make sure that you're linking to that disclaimers page and your testimonials page as well. So some people have their testimonials directly on their About page. Other people have it on its own page. It depends on your strategy. So some people want to have a full page of testimonials that if somebody emails them and says, hey, may I look through your testimonials? You just send them that one page. It makes it super easy for them to see. So we're going to head there now. On this page, I would try to expand the width of this box. and then change testimonials to this font, which is the header font that you've been using on your other pages as well, and then make sure to center it, and then include links to your about page, your schedule and appointment page, maybe your disclaimer page. I would recommend having no more than 3. Usually 1 to 3 external links is good. Like we said on the homepage, you don't want to overwhelm people. This is the other. There's one more page that has the black background for some reason. So Pat uses this disclaimer page as kind of her privacy policy terms and conditions. So I would just check the branding on this. Also, there is some extra spacing between these lines and there is here. Another option you can do is add navigation in the footer of your website. So as people scroll down the page, instead of having to scroll all the way up to see the other pages that you have, you can include links down here. Most websites include their terms and conditions, privacy policy, in this case it would be the disclaimer page, in the footer, so they don't have to include it in the header navigation. That's totally up to you. And finally, on the contact page, I love the way this is laid out, super easy to scan. I would change this to a header to kind of differentiate this section. So have located at B, maybe a little bit smaller than this, but so that way it looks similar. And then here I would link this to your resources page and also add a link to the schedule and appointment page here. If you are fine with people emailing you for an appointment, you can leave this here. If you would rather people just use your online booking platform, I would change this to make an appointment, click here, and then link to the schedule and appointment page. That is the website audit for North Country Spiritual Pathways. Again, I am super impressed with how Pat designed that website. It is super easy to navigate. It just needs a little bit of tweaking and refinement, but it is there. Like I said, I didn't really have much to say about the general organization or even the content. With some website audits, I will go through and suggest changes to the text, but Pat did a beautiful job writing this. So awesome job, Pat. And if you would like your own website audit, check out my Debug Your Business membership at missmegabug.com/membership. I complete 1 website audit per month. If you're interested, you would just fill out a form and I would randomly select based on the people who applied for a website audit. And like I said, I post them monthly. In the membership, you also receive access to my Facebook Answer Archive group where you can ask me anything business and marketing related. And the main draw of the membership is that it's organized around what I call formulas, which really go through how to do something, like how to boost your Instagram engagement. So the formula would have different steps on how to do that, and it would include tutorials and text explanations and links to additional resources, which is super handy. And it also comes with the website audits as well as a Refine My Canva design, where members can share their Canva design with me, and I would go through, edit, refine, and redesign it and create a video just like this. Again, for more information, check out missmegabug.com/membership.